This is Surviving the Music Industry.
That sounds sick.
I didn't think about how that sounded.
Heyo! Welcome to Surviving the Music Industry with Brandon Harrington. You're with Brandon Harrington right now. This is who is speaking to your ear taste buds right at the moment. Lick it up, slop it up, put a biscuit on it, just lather in it. This is what it sounds like, and this is what it's like when you're with me and you're surviving the music industry. And just a quick note, surviving the music industry is me. I'm so narcissistic enough, I'm talking. And what I usually find is that some people gravitate toward that because birds of a feather flock together. And so you're probably new to this thing, and you're thinking, man, why is this guy talking? Man, he talks a lot. Talks about identity, self-worth, discovering, and all these mental head games that he's kind of going through. He's got a couple jokes here and there. They're okay. Some fall flat. Others I don't get because I don't know what he's talking about. But he's on a rampage. I don't get it. Why is he talking? I don't understand why he's talking so much. Like I said, birds of a feather, we flock together. One of those feathers I started flocking with, Rhonda Vincent. Just get to Rhonda Vincent. Just get to the thing. Why are you talking so much? Why is this guy still talking? Rhonda Vincent and I hung out, and it was a lot of fun. It was when snow-apocalypse was happening in the South. So we've been sitting on this for a good bit. And she's got a record coming out May 28th. And so we're part of that to get all these acolytes and followers and listeners to go pre-order and pre-save right now, May 28th. Music is what I see. It's Rhonda Vincent. Why is this guy still talking? He just went into an accent. What is this? Well, welcome to my headspace. Welcome to my life. I'm surviving the music industry, and I get to talk to pretty rad people. And what's going on? I met with a lot of no's this week, trying to build something, a lot of hurdles, a lot of hoops to jump through. Still working on those validators and indicators that people want to see, and i.e. social media, so that's always a frustrating thing. While we're there, give me a follow. I like to make you laugh. At Unofficial Brandon, Instagram, and the TikToks. At SMI Podcast, Facebook, Twitter. SMIPodcast.com. If you want to drop some hate mail, if that is your bag, if that's your thing, I don't get it. I've never been so angry at a thing to write a stern letter about it. Or slide into their DMs. I don't get that. Oh, speaking of sliding in the DMs, this is a new thing. In the levity of my week, I'm starting to become the thing of scamming the scammers. This seems to be a popular trend on the talks, and somehow people are targeting songwriters and musicians, and so they want you to write a birthday song, and long story short, they want you to go get, like pre-saved gift cards or whatever, and then you give it to them, and then they preload it, blah, 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 and they just take your money that way. There's a bunch of other ways that they take your money. It's not a great plan, and I love it that much because it's basically I'm just a sword of vengeance using song, calling them out. I've only done 2 videos, but it's been a lot of fun. But that's been my levity of the week, of just really sticking it to the scammers on the social media because they're everywhere. I know Ron and I get into it, but man, it's insane the links that people go to. That they want you to do the thing and follow their rules. Like, who are these people? Do they just grow up without toys? Do they just grow up without love? Their mom maybe loved them too much. Daddy wasn't there. They changed their underwear. I mean, is it that thing that people just want to become scammers? Just freaking lowlies of the earth. Why is this a thing? Well, I don't know. People got to do the thing somewhere, somehow. But again, that's been my levity of the week. And also, I started some therapy. I know. Heterosexual white male from the South. What do you got to complain about? I don't know. I got head games just as much as everybody else, probably. And that's my privilege. I reckon that I can try to work on these things. His name is David. I met him through BetterHelp. There's an ad coming up, so I'll let you know about that. But we just had our first meeting, and it was fun. It was good. It was great. It was grand. He got to know me. I kind of share what I think some of the roots of these issues are, and then, am I afraid of success? Like anytime that something like is looking good, I recoil. But if something's not happening, I'm just a gargoyle in the corner wondering, why do I just have mud on my face? And I put mud on my face. And why don't I wipe the mud off my face? And I just don't do anything about the mud. And I keep putting more mud on my face. So we just started this initial conversation. So it's basically like career goals, maybe. Career goals in the headspace, maybe. Somewhere in there. And I'm sure there's deeper voices in there. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Went for a run the other day, and that was super nice. It was lovely to get out. I ran through a graveyard, a cemetery, if you will, and unique experience, because I never thought so much about death in my life in a matter of a couple of minutes of just running through this graveyard. Like, for instance, who mows the yards of cemeteries? And isn't that just like a crap job? Doesn't that job suck? Because I got to mow my own yard. And, it's a box. It's a square. I can go in a pattern and a shape and lines and make the thing. But in a cemetery, there's headstones. There's mausoleums. There's flowers. And there's fake flowers. I mean, like, do you zig and zag through the stones? Like, do you weedy? I know there's a thing about, like, you don't step on one side of the headstone because that's where the body is. And that's, but they have to do it because they're mowing the yard. Like, how do these people do it? How do landscapers scape the lawns of cemeteries? That racked my brain for a millionth of a second, and then it kind of kept me awake last night. Well, welcome to my headspace. Welcome to my life. This is how it rolls. So just to let you know, we're sponsored in this episode by our good friends at BetterHelp. It's no doubt that we might be living in a complicated space and time right now. Anxieties are on the rise. There's isolation. Sometimes complex thoughts just need to be worked through so you can finally meet some of those goals that you might have. Speaking of goals, maybe you got just career goals, just like I am, and I'm just trying to figure that out, how that, lives in this headspace. So maybe you just have goals in general. The people at BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. It's not a crisis line or a self-help thing. It's professional counseling done securely online or by phone, so you don't have to sit in one of those stiff, awkward waiting rooms. We all know the first step to getting help is the hardest, but I'm here to say that I can help. Just because you listen to me right now go on rants, you get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/songwriter. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/songwriter. Why is this guy still talking? What's his thing? He went on tangents. He started talking about graveyards and mowing the lawn. I've never thought about people mowing. I got my own yard to mess with. I don't want to lay awake at night thinking about mowing a cemetery. Rhonda Vincent, the queen of bluegrass, graced us with her presence. Like I said, this was done during snow apocalypse. And we sat down, computer screen to computer screen, face to face, screen to screen, and I got to know Rhonda. I've never met Rhonda. I knew the people like around Rhonda, but I've never met Rhonda herself. I had Michael Cleveland on the show before. He used to play in The Rage at one time, and Michael's doing his own thing now. I'm sure there's no sour milk spilt there by any means whatsoever. Let's see. Do I know anybody else around Rhonda? Oh, I had a mutual friend, maybe. Guy named Cliff. He posted something about Rhonda, and I was like, oh, hey, do you represent Rhonda? I would love to get to know her and speak to her and just talk about her life. Because crazy history, crazy life, especially doing the thing for a little bit of times. So, I mean, multi-award winner, IBMA. I mean, the list goes on. Record, event of the year, female vocalist of the year, Best Bluegrass Album. She's nominated. She's won. And then she's got an old Grams. She's got a Grammy for Best Bluegrass Album, All the Rage Volume 1. So she's got all these awards. She's got crazy stories with all these legendary bluegrassers from Bill Monroe to Jimmy Martin. Those are always my favorite stories, so I got her to tell me some. We talk about Darren Vincent, her brother, one half of Daly and Vincent. It's comedy bluegrass duo I've seen live. He's phenomenal, so we talk about that. But just the family that she grew up in and how that incorporates with her music and what she does and just how she got to do the thing. Ladies and gents, I mean, we talked about records. We talk about the people involved, you know, especially like James Stroud. He was the president of Giant Records through her Giant Records years. And people just kind of ducking and weaving through her life. She was a gem, this bluegrass queen, Rhonda Vincent. It was so much fun. I had so much fun talking to her, getting to know her. I'm excited that she's going on this journey of a record because I feel like it's been a bit of just laying out some tunes for the good people to enjoy. Music is what I see. It's coming out May 28th, so you can pre-save and pre-order. You can go to her website, RhondaVincent.com. That's the official place you probably should go because we talk about scammers. Why do people scam? Why is this guy still talking about scams? Because people are still doing the scamming thing, and we talk about that in here. So that was super weird and crazy. That blew my mind for a bit. But anyway, music is what I see. Go to her website, RhondaVincent.com. You can give her a follow at Rhonda Vincent on those socials. Say, hey, we listened to the thing. It was a lot of fun. Listen to you talk. I got something out of it. Man, You're a normal person. I love it, but you did these amazing things, and you're amazingly talented. You're a human. Wow, thanks for that time. Why is this guy still talking? All right, I think that's it for me. Here's my conversation with Rhonda Vincent.
Yeah, I can hear you okay. So I've got all my setting. I'm not that fluent in this, so.
It's okay. This is the world we're in. Oh, I got you loud and clear.
Is this on video or audio or both?
Well, both. The core is audio. That's all that matters.
Okay. I didn't know if I needed to reset this. Looks like there's the background. I can see the door over there, but
it's looking good to me.
It's
I mean,
okay.
it's just
all right. Chair can go up like this, or it can come down like this. So
right there.
Right here,
there's perfect.
I'm not going to move. And the light is coming from this direction. I can turn more this way, like.
I just hope the whole time we hang out, it's this the whole time.
Okay, that's it. That's all it is.
That's it.
That's all it can be.
It's been a good show, everybody. Goodbye.
Phone on silent. I forgot that.
Oh man, you are so pro. You're ready to work.
There we go.
You got a long day ahead of you, right?
I do. It's good though. Put all of everything in one day. Otherwise, I'm doing it on top of shows, and then it's like, oh no, am I going to lose my voice? And it's like, oh, so this is the perfect way to do this. I don't know if you can see. You can't see out that window. We are the lake. I'm on a lake, and it is the first time it's been frozen over like this since the 50s.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, where are you at right now?
I'm in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri.
Well, okay, you're a mountain person. So is snow ice cream a thing where you're from? Like, do you guys make snow ice cream when you were a kid?
Any chance we got. I'll never forget. My mother didn't, but I discovered the recipe at school, and I came home, and it's like, and they said, be careful, don't get any yellow snow. And it's like, well, why not? And it's like, you'll figure it out. And it's like,
no, kid.
Oh no.
Yeah, you'll know one day.
You figure my parents were like, they give you guidance, but then you get to figure it out yourself.
Oh, incredible.
They didn't just spell it out. Here's like playing. I started playing. Dad said, here's G, C, and D. Here's little Liza Jane. Now you take it from here. Okay.
Yeah, good luck, kid.
Here's the bowl. Here's the spoon. And the milks and sugars over there, you go figure out with the snow, but look out for the yellow snow.
Yeah, that's true. And you had real snow. I'm from East Texas, and so it was it was ice and oil and too much pride. It was just not the thing.
Yeah, we definitely have winters, and I'm from northern Missouri where it's even worse. I mean, they're in like -20 right now.
That's not even a real number.
We're at 0. I know. It's like,
yeah.
Does it matter? Oh, well, mom will say, well, it got up to 5 below today. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's below zero.
And nobody has parkas. So what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just cold.
Yeah, really.
It's in the South. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So northern Missouri, what's the town that you're from?
Green Top. Green Top, one word, at the very top of Missouri, in the heart of America.
I hate it so much. I hate it. Oh, it's beautiful. I hate it. What's the population of Green Top?
350.
Yeah, you win.
Growing up, I think growing up it was 350. Might be to 450 now, maybe. Well, I know 3. My brothers and I left town. That's 3. My dad passed. That's 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not gaining up there.
They mark the X's. Yeah, it's not going up. That's incredible. Okay, so small town flavor, mountain home. I'm kind of getting a picture here a little bit. Big family, generations on the farmland.
Not so necessarily farm. People think I'm from a small town, but we were in town. We had, probably unusual for being in town, my dad fenced off the acre in the back and we had ducks. I remember my parents getting up. They would set their alarm for 3 a.m. to go out in the cold and turn these eggs. They had an incubator and they raised baby ducks.
That's a thing, like to raise ducks?
Well, it was. I have no idea. I asked my mom. I guess they probably mostly raised them to eat. And one day, so we had all these ducks out there, and Quacky was my pet, and I loved Quacky. Quacky, I loved. And anyway, Grandpa went out. We're going to have duck one day, and I said, Grandpa, don't shoot Quacky. Don't shoot Quacky. And somehow after that, I could never find Quacky again. And he said, and years later, he said, well, he stuck his head up right as he went to shoot, and Quacky stood up, and he got him.
He took one for the team.
He did. He did. He's good though. It was tasty.
Yeah. Raising ducks. Okay. Yeah. But is it generations of Vincent's, like in this area? I mean, is this the kind of living and life that you've had?
Well, 5 generations of the Vincent family played music. That was the thing. Played music. My father had a car wreck when I was 2, broke his neck, paralyzed from the neck down, not expected to live. They let him lay for a week. This was 1964. Let him lay, didn't even clean him up because they didn't think he was going to live. So they just let him lay there. My grandpa finally had him transferred to the medical center where they fused his neck. And anyway, he gained his mobility. He said, Lord, if you'll give me one good leg, I'll drag the other one. That's exactly what happened. He walked with a cane. Music, so he couldn't run after us. So music was already there, the 5 generations. But after that, it's like he would go like, don't you run from me. He had us, I guess he had a system where years later we were like, okay, or what? But see, we didn't think of that as a kid. It was like, don't you run from me. And we would play, he would keep us at arm's length, so he knew where we were and what was going on. And it was playing music. Picked me up from school each day. We played till dinner. After dinner, friends came over and we played till bedtime. So music, it was nothing but this concentration of music.
Yeah, I mean, this was daily life, right? Especially their generations. Like, I guess they had the radio, but at the same time, if it was entertainment, like family did it. They put on the show. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought I thought you were at your house doing the same thing. You're a little girl. You don't question it. It's like, it's what we do. Everybody else it was until I got to be a teenager and I discovered Barb Wheeler, Tommy Parsons were at the skating rink. And boy, I remember being so mad because there was a skating party and I told my dad, I said, someday everyone in the world is going to hate music. Luckily, I grew to love it, not hate it. But I sure remember being mad one day.
Yeah, did you? Well, I mean, there's always this disenfranchised in me. I'm kind of a rebel at heart, and you grew up with this music, like just part of your life. Like, did you try to run away from it, like a little bit, like just try to go a separate direction, or was it just so ingrained in your life, like you had to do it?
It was. I mean, we woke up. That's what we did. And my father was very wise, I think, he started me on the mandolin when I was 8. So probably 9 or 10, he always found a way to inspire us. He took me to the Keokuk Street Fair, Keokuk, Iowa, which is an hour away. That was a big deal if we traveled that far, really, just to go see something. But the Stoneman family was there. And they were in a tent at a street fair. I mean, it wasn't very big, but we crowded in there. And my dad, for him to make the effort, remember, he's walking with a cane. He can't walk very far. We parked and he's walked down here by the river to this, got me here. I'm looking up at Donna Stoneman. She's in a red leather miniskirt, white go-go boots, and playing the fire out of the mandolin. It's like, I want to play like her. You know, he had that magic way of inspiring us to where I'm sure if when we got a bad attitude, I mean, when I was 5, we were doing a weekly radio show. We were doing a weekly TV show. So there was something constantly going on, but finding that way he took me to see Donna Stoneman. She signed me a picture. This is what really just makes me cry with joy. It's like, now Donna Stoneman, I can call her and say, Donna, I love you. The first time I met her, I just looked at her and just cried. It's like, oh my goodness, she's the lady that inspired me to play.
Yeah, she is the trailblazer, right?
Yes,
I mean,
her entire family.
The Stomans, but I would think almost specifically her, and especially women, because I mean, there were women like in country music, and I'm guessing, like her era of like heights could have been like in the 50s, 60s, right? So I mean, that was the thing. So I mean, maybe we're talking about the Carter sisters. There was something like ingrained, like in country music, right, with women, but for her to be just this rocker on the Mando and like really like tearing it up, that says something. I mean, that's a trailblazer, at least in my imagination. That's
right. Oh, definitely. I mean, well, just the dress. I'm sure miniskirt that would have probably been, was that in the 70s? To be wearing a miniskirt, red leather. I mean, the color red.
It's
red
risque.
Leather miniskirt, white go-go boots. Oh my word. Yeah. What a spectacle that was.
Yeah.
She was a trailblazer in many ways.
Yeah. You shouldn't set fire to people's loins. Put it in the heart. I mean, that's... yeah, you're right. That is something in the go-go boots. Yeah, she's a trailblazer. That's incredible, and especially your dad, like walking on one leg. He's always trying to do something like to inspire you. Like that was walking inspiration.
that was, and then our very first, well, not the first festival, I guess. First one was in Ottumwa, Iowa, '69, I guess. But we went to Knob Noster, Missouri. They had Bill Monroe, Ralph Stanley, Jim and Jesse, Osborne Brothers, Bluegrass. I mean, anyone that was in bluegrass, this festival had. And I think of this now. I saw this picture the other day of me with Bill Monroe. And my dad, once again, when it was important, there was very few times. He, number one, had walked me down this giant gravel hill that he could have probably slipped and fallen on. But it was a giant gravel hill to the back of the stage where Bill Monroe was getting ready to go on. And we found Bill Monroe by himself. And my dad has obviously taken a camera and gotten my picture with Bill Monroe. And that was right before Bill Monroe walked on stage. Couldn't have been more than 9 or 10. And now I didn't think about the effort, but the effort that took, because he didn't do that. It was like try to always pull him up to the closest place, make sure he can't walk, doesn't have to walk too far. But there's several times that now I realize he made a great effort because that was so important to him.
That's incredible. Did you ever tell Bill Monroe that story, or have you ever met him?
Oh, we met him several times. One of the last time I saw him was at the Opry, Country Weekly, I think it was captured. This photographer happened to be there. I don't know if they had set it up or what. I just came around a corner and there was Bill Monroe, and he grabbed me and put his arms around me, and a photographer captured the shot. And that was the last time that I saw him. Oh,
wow. Well, I always love stories like this because I hung out with Michael Cleveland and Tominski, Dan Tominski. I'm sure you guys hung out before. And I always love when Dan tells me like Jimmy Martin stories.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you have any Jimmy Martin stories or anything crazy like that?
I have. So Jimmy Martin, I had a banjo player by the name of Steve Sutton. Love Jimmy. Good friends with him, Jimmy. And Jimmy, I had a studio in a home. It wasn't a mile from Jimmy's house. Well, when I hired in Nashville, it's Hermitage, Tennessee. And Steve said, hey, let's go over to Jimmy Martin's house. And it's like, really? So we go over there and we have to leave. And Jimmy's out in the car. Maybe that was the second time I went over there. I don't remember. I don't think Steve was with me the second time, but the one that is ingrained in my mind. So I'm trying to leave and Jimmy sits on the car because I have my window down. He walks me out to the car and he's talking and he's got his hands up on my arms, up on my car ledge. And I'm trying to get out of there and he's singing to me. And I'm driving down the hill and he's still hanging onto my window as I'm trying to, I said, well, Jimmy, I got to go. And he's just singing away. Well, I think you should sing this. And there we go as I'm backing down the driveway. He would come over. I would be on the Opry and he would call and say, hey, I'm coming over to see you. He was just such a strong supporter. We loved his music. I do a lot of his songs, but what a character he was.
Oh man, he's one of the greatest characters, I think, in country and bluegrass. He's one of my favorite people to hear stories about.
He said I got a little beagle pup, and he called me and he said, I named my little beagle pup Little Wanda. He always called me Wanda. Little Wanda Vincent. He said she looks just like you from the neck up. That was like his greatest honor if he bestowed upon you, is if he named one of his animals after you. I think he had Dolly and Loretta, and he had a beagle pup named Rhonda.
But only Jimmy Martin would make that a compliment. Like anything else, somebody else, it wouldn't fly.
Yeah, I got a cow named Rhonda. Thank you.
Well.
I'll say that too. We got a new calf. We're going to call her Rhonda.
It's not the same. Yeah. Not the same.
That's
I appreciate it. It's not the same. Okay, so the Sally Mountain show, that's a huge thing. That's a part of your life. So I'm assuming that was the radio show and the gigging and stuff that you did as a kid, right?
Well, when I was 5, it was my grandpa, my mom, my dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends. And so it wasn't just, they couldn't be called the Vincent family. It wasn't just the Vincent family. When we got this TV show, and that's when they named us the Sally Mountain. It was the Sally Mountain show that came on TV. And there's a geographic location. It was called Sally's Mountain over near Worthington, Missouri, population 35, where my parents are from. And so she was an old-time fiddler. Legend has it she originated the tune Sally Gooden.
Oh,
so
wow.
Sally, it was an old mining town. It was a booming place years ago. So Sally's Mountain was on the top of the mountain. At the bottom was called Lickskillet, old coal mining town. On the mountain, Sally played the fiddle, ran a little moonshine, and a bad house, if you know what.
Winkety wink.
Yeah. So running this bad. So that was Sally's Mountain. And that's the legend. And that's where they got that from. If you're in Northeast Missouri, everybody knows about Sally Mountain.
Oh, Rhonda, that's so good because there's an edge to it. Because like when you think like Sally Mountain show, oh, it's wholesome. It's a Partridge Family with bluegrass. then you hear about somebody running a cat house out of Missouri. It's like, oh, okay. That
was just the name. Sally's Mountain has gone long after that.
Yeah, but that's the legend. That's incredible. But this is, I mean, you grew up doing this, and this is a part of your identity. Like, did you ever think about doing anything else at all? Like veterinarian or whatever?
Well, I took, I guess it was in 8th grade, or maybe I was a freshman. They gave you that test in school of, what you should, trying to get you ready for what career you should have. And so I remember testing in that. And then I grew to love accounting. So I took every accounting class, and even in college, that was my major, was accounting. And so but it said music was the first one, rated the top 3 things you should be. It was a musician, an accountant, or an attorney. So, and I took business law in college too. I took some classes in that. So I guess that interest, photography, I liked all of that.
Yeah. Where did you go to college? I didn't know this about you.
Well, it was in Kirksville, Missouri. At that time, it was called Northeast Missouri State University in 1980, 81, 82, 83. And now they changed the name to Truman State University.
Did you graduate? You got a piece of paper?
I went to Nashville and made my first recording. This was on a Thanksgiving break. I don't remember which year this was. Anyway, so I go to Nashville. David Parmley says, I'm recording a country album and I want you to sing on it. Can you come down? So I go down there for Thanksgiving break. The recording, I said, hey, I got this idea. What if I piggyback on your session and I'll record some songs too? So one day, another day, and I am now in Nashville, Tennessee. I am recording. I've recorded my first solo project here. And as the days went on, I'm looking and I am getting further and further behind in my college work.
But there was no stress. Like, you knew in the back of your mind, it's all right. It's okay.
You don't know. You just don't know this. But anyway, I took a leap of faith. And from that, I mean, things were not instantaneous, that's for sure. But I left college at that point with 5 classes short of graduating. But don't tell my kid. Well, my kids already have their degrees, so we don't have to worry about that.
It doesn't matter.
A lot of years, it's like, don't tell the kids.
Don't tell the children.
I don't want them doing something crazy like this.
Oh yeah, don't tell the children dropping out's worth it. It's not a good message. It's not a good more you know moment.
That's right.
Not at all. Okay, yeah, and then Nashville's now in the picture. Now I know about Darren as well, like part of the family, and that's an incredible career too with Daly and Vincent. Yeah. I mean, so he's part of the family band too.
He was, it's my entire grandpa, aunts, uncles, Aunt Catherine, Uncle Pearl, my cousins Rick and Joe, Phil Baker, Boyd Halford, Al White, Jack Heron. It's all of us for the Sally Mountain Show. My grandfather gets emphysema. He worked in the coal mine. He passed 4th grade. And it's kind of the family band dispersed. So then it became my mom and dad and I, and we were the Sally Mountain Trio until 1969. Darren comes along for 2 days after Christmas. And I mean, he was singing when he was 1 year old. I remember being on stage at the Frontier Jamboree. He's singing Me and Jesus Got Our Own Thing Going. And most kids aren't talking at 1, and he's on stage singing at 1 year old. And I remember in my mind thinking, wow, he is so gifted. He played, like he would say, we'd never seen him pick up anything, a fiddle or whatever. We're playing at Silver Dollar City. And in the middle of the song, he tells my dad, he would be singing, but he hadn't really played anything. But he told dad, he says, I'm going to take a fiddle solo. My dad said, I remember my dad, you don't play the fiddle, son. You don't play the fiddle. And the break came up and Darren grabbed the fiddle and ran up to the microphone and took the fiddle solo. It was like, where did this come from? Then one weekend, this is years later, and he told dad, he said, I'm going to be the guitar player in Sally Mountain Show now. I mean, so then we're the Sally Mountain Show again. And from the time Darren was little, he was always surprising us with something like that. Anyway, he played guitar that weekend, and then we didn't have to hire a guitar player anymore after that. He was the guitar player of the Sally Mountain Show. I don't know what age he was, but probably 10, 11, something like that.
Wow, that's incredible. I've seen a Daly and Vincent show, and so that just tells you, like, nothing's changed. Like, that's him. That's it.
Oh, yeah. One of the great, he is, and I mean, not because I'm partial, but because people tell me he is one of the single greatest harmony singers that you will ever hear. I mean, bar none. Look, he's been with Ricky Skaggs. His work speaks for itself.
I really think almost anybody can sing harmonies, right? I mean, out of tune or whatever. But I think it's a true gift, like, to really know how to blend and, like, to actually know how to make it sound like it's a family. No matter if you're not part of the family, like the family harmonies, that's untouchable. But if you can make that same sound with Ricky Skaggs and your last name is Vincent, dude, that's incredible. Like, well, the timbre of his voice is something that does, it is a blending voice with whomever he sings with, but very, very gifted in so many areas. Yeah, that's incredible. All right, so you're in Nashville now. You leave an open spot with the family band, and then Alison Krauss is like a part of the band for a little bit, right?
So I do my the TV show You Can Be a Star. Jim Ed Brown is the host. April of 1985.
Now, is the show is it kind of like an American Idol of its time?
It's the same, same type of thing. Same, only you would sing this day. They would have winners each day, and then all of the winners of each day would perform on Friday, and the winner of Friday became the person. And they went. Then they had all of the winners from every Friday to be the champion. That was the way it was.
Star Search. That's what it reminds me of.
Star Search. Yep. So. Yeah. he hires me. I sing on the show while we're literally singing on the show. He goes to my parents who are singing harmony. They said he was interrupting our singing literally in the show to say, hey, I want to hire your daughter. So, and they're like, we're trying to sing here.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 weeks later, I go to Nashville. I rent a couch from some family members that I have to try out Nashville to see. I was with Jim Ed from April to October of 1985. In the meantime, my dad hears of this young lady from Champaign, Illinois, fiddle player. And so he has her come and play fiddle. I don't think she was even singing yet. She was just playing fiddle. And so she's wearing my clothes. Our hair looks the same. I saw a picture and it's like, wait a minute, that's not me. Our hair was brown and curly. And because she's wearing my clothes and she's standing with my family.
What a weird, like, WandaVision moment. Like, it's such a weird, like, I don't know, Stepford wife. Like,
yeah, what is
Parent
this?
Trap. You almost got Parent Trap, but just weird in a different way. Yeah.
So I come back from Nashville and we just continued to have her play. We played twin fiddles. It seemed like she started singing during that time or shortly after, but so amazing. She was amazing to watch because even when we were at these festivals, people were going, who is that? Who is that? It's like, she was just this shining star. It's awesome to see how she has, came into her own music.
Yeah, and sometimes that takes time. But for you, now you're hanging out with Jim Ed Brown. Did you know the power of Jim Ed? I mean, like Papa Top guy. And was this? Oh yeah. And especially when he was doing the show, did he have the duets with Helen and everything at that time?
I think that was right toward the end of their relationship.
Okay.
And so that's when when they were no longer together, he had Christy, he had two, he called them the Jims, Jim Ed Brown and the Jims. And that was the two ladies on each side. And I was one of the Jims.
Okay.
He was so inspiring and always giving advice and just a wonderful support. Always like, hey, I want you to play the instruments. The first night with him was on the Opry. And he was the host of the show. We sang our one song. We stood on the side of the stage and I'm standing by him. He goes, you're going to do the next song. What are you going to do? First night with Jim Ed and features me on the Grand Ole Opry. It's like,
what are you going to do?
What
did you do?
I literally ran and borrowed a guitar, I think, or got my mandolin. I don't know, whatever. I don't think I had any instrument, but I was frantically running to get an instrument because I did Good Morning Country Rain. I think I got a mandolin because I wanted to be able to play that.
Oh, that's incredible.
I wonder if they have footage of that. I bet they do.
They have to. I mean, it's the Opry, right? They got to have archives of some kind. That would be amazing to see. That's incredible. And so he's putting you on the spot. And at the time, okay, you're part of the Jims, but you're not signed on Rebel Records yet. But Jim Ed was the introduction to that. Is that somewhere in the timeline? Is that about right?
Well, this will be after Jim Ed.
Okay.
So October 85, we went on a cruise. And then when I came home, my husband, we were married. We'd only been married like a year or so. And I'm in Nashville and my husband is up in, near Green Top. And I'm just basically running everywhere. And my husband said, look, I can work anywhere. Either I'm coming there or you're coming home, but one of the two. He just basically said, you choose it. Well, I missed being home and I missed my family. And so I quit in October of 85 and I came home. I don't know if anybody really knows this. I wrote a letter to all of these different record companies. Hi, I'm Rhonda Vincent and I would like to record. I'd like to be on your label. Send it out to I pretty much was rejected except for one label wrote back, and that was Rebel. And they said, we would definitely be interested in doing this, but how many tour dates do you have? Because if you don't have the tour dates to sell it, I mean, that's what I later learned. You need this. That was the vehicle then. If you didn't have tour dates and you weren't selling your music on the road, how are they going to sell it? They didn't have the internet or any way to sell it. Right, luckily, my family, we had a whole list of dates. And I sent it to them and they said, wow, that sounds great. They gave me a budget and I made New Dreams and Sunshine. In fact, the cover, all of these kind of mark highlights in my life. the cover of New Dreams and Sunshine, my first one with Rebel. I was 5 months pregnant with Sally, my first child, on that.
I'm looking at the cover now, and you look
you
amazing.
Are?
Yes,
oh,
and
thanks.
like your preggers there.
Yeah, I'm 5 months pregnant. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
It was my first though, so you know.
When my wife was 5 months pregnant, I looked like 10 months pregnant. Like, I mean, that's incredible. Like you look like a supermodel.
Oh, thanks. Well, I only gained 25 pounds with her. Tinsel was quite another one. So now go to the next one, a dream come true for Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
I was 8.5 months pregnant, and that's why they could only do from like the shoulders up because
shoulder up.
Oh, yeah. So, yes.
I see it. Yeah. I love it. It's such a perfect 80s cover. Oh, the hair, the colors, the dress, everything. I love everything about it.
That made one of the worst covers lists somewhere.
If you're not one of the best, there's no point in doing it. If you don't make a list, there's no point.
Let's make the worst list. How about that?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, but this is an introduction for you. Now, that's something you said is crazy to me. Like, we're talking in 85, you have this, the seesaw question of life, to move or not to move. And to me, that seems like such a huge risk because I remember my grandfather telling me, well, I couldn't hitch up the wagon to move to Nashville because that was a lot. Like, you gave up so much to do that. And especially when I moved to Nashville, it was still a lot to do it, but I didn't have to hitch a wagon by any means.
Right.
But all that to say, like, to move out of Nashville is such a risky move in my imagination, like for anything entertainment, especially like a young career that's like barely started, like industry wise.
Jim Ed gave me a lecture. He said, the day I was leaving, I went over to his house to say goodbye. And he spent, I bet it was 2 hours or more trying to tell me that you have to be in Nashville. You have to be here. This is where everything is. But my heart was just not there.
Oh, okay. So it was just the matters of the heart, and especially there was something tugging at you. I can understand that being creative, but I don't know. Was it more? I mean, because you had your husband and all your family was there. Yeah, I mean, That just makes sense to me.
Yeah, I have grandma, I have mom and dad. Well, when you're with your family, there's a security in that. And Jim Ed was my first experience away from the family, traveling, dealing with others. When you're traveling with your family, leave your socks around. Who cares? What are you going to do about it? When you travel with someone else, there's a lot more to consider. You're in other people's space. You're sharing spaces. That was my first experience of that. And yes, I can do that, but there was still valuable lessons that I learned. I mean, I look at all of this had a very distinct purpose. Because used to, you'd do a show and you would have a feeling, was this a good show? Was this a bad show? We're perfecting our craft through this. But I learned from Jim Ed because the quality was the same every day. And we'd play all of these shows day in, day out. The audience would react differently. And I remember thinking to myself, we did the same song in the same place, the same joke, all of this, the quality of the music is maintained through every show. But I found out it was the people that make the places special. If they showed up and they're revved up and ready to go, woo, it was like, wow, this is awesome. Next night, maybe it's a Tuesday night, they're a little more subdued. It wasn't, but it was the same music. So I learned that you want to perfect your craft, but don't. I watch people beat themselves up because they didn't feel like if somebody didn't show up or they didn't feel it went as well. Like times when it's like, man, that song really didn't go that well, and the people would go crazy. So there was just a lot that I learned during that time like that. It's like, So I make sure my music is here. I also want to make sure that I maintain the very same enthusiasm. Another life lesson was in there. I've got to figure out what year it was, and I don't know who would have the documentation. I suppose maybe Silver Dollar City, because I've told this story a lot. Because my family, this had to be before Jim Ed. We played Silver Dollar City 5 days a week. We were staff musicians where we punched the time clock. And we played Monday through Friday. Friday night, we'd drive to a festival, play Saturday, Sunday, drive back Sunday night. Monday morning, we did 5 one-hour shows per day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Lots of music, a great place to let your kids learn to play. So this particular day, it's pouring down rain. I mean, pouring. We're outside playing. We're undercover. There's no one watching, not anyone before us. Most of the bands that were playing throughout the park would just sit and wait till the rain passed.
As they would, yeah, right.
My dad said, they're paying us to play, and we're going to play. Darren and I are like, come on, Dad. You know, what are we doing? There's nobody out here. Let's don't play. My dad said, they're paying us to play, and we're playing. We did our every 5 1-hour shows that day.
The jokes and everything, like everything on cue.
Yeah, oh yes. My dad in rain, when it was raining, my dad had a certain set that he did. Every rain song, listening to the rain, my sweet love ain't around. Listen to that rain of falling. You knew he was going to do that. He was going to have everybody take a solo 1,000 times. And it's like, he had this, like, we're like, oh, please. So the next week, my dad gets a call from Hal Durham, and he was the general manager of the Grand Ole Opry at the time. So we can look. I know it's within that time frame. He said, Mr. Vincent, I'd like to invite you to come, you and your family, to perform on the Grand Ole Opry. And my dad's like, well, we just met Charlie Louvin, and he thought that Charlie had recommended us. So he said, well, we want to thank Charlie for recommending us to be on the Opry. And he said, well, Charlie Louvin had nothing to do with this. And my dad said, well, how did you know about my family? He said, last week, while your family was playing in the rain, he said, I was with my family around the corner listening.
Oh, that's incredible.
Greatest life lesson. I'm getting chills just telling that. Greatest life lesson I've ever learned, because you never know who's listening. Do your best no matter what.
Yeah. I would have not played in the rain, even after hearing this story. It's just how I work. It never works out to my benefit. That's why I'm surviving the music industry. But it's I don't know. That's beautiful. It's also timing, and it's also like orchestration. You never know what the universe is going to bring your way, because
God just placed us all in the right place at the right time.
That's honestly all it is, right? Because I mean, with him just taking a family vacation to Silver Dollar City.
What are the chances?
It's not, I mean, I've been to Silver Dollar City. I mean, it's not like the hot spot. Like, somebody like him could have gone to Disney World, but he went to Silver Dollar City. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, he did.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's orchestration. Yeah. Well, okay, so Rebel Records, you have a few under Rebel Records.
I got way off track, didn't I?
No, so, you're the queen. You can do whatever you want. But you got a few records from Rebel.
So I did several. We did one with the Sally Mountain Show called Bound for Gloryland, an all gospel one. So I probably did 3, 4, 5, maybe. I think 4. Anyway, there's a discography if you want to look it up.
I'm seeing 4, if that helps.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I went from there in the middle of recording New Dreams and Timeless and True Love. Carl Jackson came in. He wrote the song Homecoming. And while he's recording that, we were in, there's a studio A and a studio B, and there's a little kitchen in the middle. And Carl and I are in there, and James Stroud walks in. He's recording a brand new artist. This is all, the timeline can really be looked up according to this. So he's recording a brand new guy by the name of Clint Black.
I love it.
Studio A. And he comes in, and Carl says to me, now, you know, these CDs cost me $7.50. I have to buy them from the record company. And Carl says to me, he said, you should give James a CD. And I looked at him because I didn't know who James Stroud was. And I'm thinking, man, you want me to give this CD away? Anyway, that's what I thought in my mind. But once again, I went out to the bus, I got the CD, and I gave it to James Stroud. He came back the next day. We were all working again. He goes, I want to work with you. 1 year later, he was the president of Giant Records, and I was the first person that he signed. So now we're in the 90s. This is my very pivotal moment of, I was 5 years with Giant Records, learning from James Stroud, Richard Landis, Garth Fundis, managed by Jack McFadden, who had at that time Achy Breaky Heart, blew up Billy Ray Cyrus, who'd walk in the office, Stan Barnett. I'm learning publishing. I'm learning all about the music business, not living there, but spending a lot of time driving back and forth through that. And So I did those after 5 years. It was kind of a money pit. At one time, we were getting groceries off of a credit card, trying to figure out how we're going to survive. What are we going to do? My husband's working, but I'm spending all this money trying to get this career going in Nashville. So after the 5 years, I left there. James was so nice. Everybody was like, listen, if this is not working, he said, I'm going to let you off scot-free. He said, here's what you do want to do. Here's what you don't want to do. So this debt from all of these albums will follow you. So beware of that. He was very nice about that.
Oh, who does that? What is that?
I know.
Wow.
So I come home. That's the pivotal moment to where I said, Lord, what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to, pursue some of the country labels? And it's like, that's when the time, Shania Twain's coming out. I'm more of the traditional country music. The I'm Not Over You, that was my first single. Shania, Billy Ray Cyrus. There was this movement now that it's easy to sit back and go, okay, I was not moving with that music. But I really feel God had this place. And I put together a band of friends, Alan, Joey, and Earl. And we got to my living room and we're just playing music for fun and did a few festivals. And I'm feeling I have such a happy heart. I'm loving this. And it's like, but it was confusing. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Because this is easy. This is like what I grew up doing. This is what my family does. This is easy to do. Anyway, ended up signing with Rounder Records. Another pivotal moment. January 2000, my album came out with Rounder. I was in the Wall Street Journal reviewed the album. I didn't even know they did reviews. They said Rhonda Vincent is the new queen of bluegrass.
And that's where it happens.
I won my first of 7 consecutive International Bluegrass Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year in 2000. Signed with Martha White as a sponsorship. That might have been a year later, but it's like signed with the agency. This is like, wow, I'm in the right place at the right time, or it really felt so. Still not, you wait for that pivotal moment to go, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I still didn't have that till probably just a few years ago to go, okay, because I was so busy doing this and you just constantly trying to prove yourself. Because then at that point, when I put out a bluegrass album, people were like, are you country or are you bluegrass? What are you? Oh, it's the band of the week. You don't even have a consistent band. You've got this or you've got that. I was searching for that. Where's that magic formula?
Well, for me, like listening to some of these Rebel records and like kind of like picking out some songs, like there's the bluegrass element, but then there's also country. There's always there's a mix between the two, at least in my ears. And then when I listen to even I'm Not Over You, like that feels like a Tammy Wynette song, which doesn't sound too far away from what even like Patti Loveless was doing at the time. Yeah. But it did sound like a stranger, like to you in a way. Like, did you even feel that way at the time? Because when I listen again to those Rebel records, it's like, oh, okay, this is Rhonda Vincent. Like I hear that and I see that, but I listen to that I'm Not Over You. Oh, it's a little bit of a different Rhonda Vincent. And now we're going into the Rounder years. It's like, oh, this makes sense. So it's easy to say that hindsight when you look at the broad scheme of things. But have you ever looked back on that and even said, those Giant records, was that even me? Was that the thing?
I think I was searching to see what was the music. Ken Irwin, one of the owners of Rounder Records, is the one who said, when he signed me and we started talking about direction, he goes, listen, there is a void for a woman playing hard driving, in your face bluegrass. It's like, well, I can do that. I can easily do that. But before, I liked everything. So if it feels good, let's do it. Oh, let's do this country song. Let's mix this. Let's mix that. Let's put a little steel. And he brought me into a focus that I realized you don't mix those up. Either you do. And I did Only Me in 2015, specifically separated. I made 2 CDs on there. 6 bluegrass songs, 6 country songs. I did not mix those up purposely because of that. But yeah, Ken is the guy who said, here's a void. Here's a void. You need to fill this. And so he really, and then I recorded 20 some songs. I need to look back at those tracks. There's probably songs I haven't even thought of. But for Back Home Again, the first one with Rounder, I almost did not include, because I found these perimeters. It's like, I want to stay within pretending I don't care and Lonesome Wind Blues. And I want to be within this hard driving criteria. And then all of a sudden, one day we heard Jolene on WSM at lunch. It's like, we got back in the studio, so let's record that. And it's like, and this is about to fall out of the perimeters. It might be a little too, but a friend of mine, she said, ooh, you need to leave that in there. That's awesome. You need to be doing Jolene. She is the one who said, keep it in there. So I thought, okay, that's as far out of this scope that we're going to go.
I mean, that makes it a little bit edgier, right? It makes it a little bit more cutting edge, like when you include a song like Jolene in what some might deem a traditional bluegrass, even though, I mean, there's murder songs in bluegrass, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
oh, sure.
But I mean, like for like commercial, edgier, upfront, in your face bluegrass, I mean, Jolene, I could see where Jolene is almost like the impetus of that for you in some way.
Right. Well, and I also did this song, Little Angels, very socially conscious about child abuse. And people are like, why? And even I think the record company said, are you sure you want to do this song? It's like, I just saw the reaction that it got. The lady who wrote it, I just had her come up and sing it on stage. And oh my goodness, people were coming to her everywhere. It's like, that little girl was me. I mean, I realized later, we did it on stage. We sang it on a show. And some guy comes in the middle of the show to the side of the stage. He goes, will you play Little Angels again? And I'm like, we don't repeat a song in the same set, wouldn't twice. And he was so persistent. And it just occurred to me that maybe he needs to hear this for some reason. And we ended up doing Little Angels twice in one set because this guy was so persistent and he needed to hear it again.
Yes, songs speak to people in different ways like that. It's an incredible thing. But I guess at this time is almost the formation of the Rage.
Yes, this was forming the sound, the skill level of the musicians, the direction of the music, and then all of a sudden it became this. Okay, this is what we've got to stay within this. When I'm selecting a musician, Mike Cleveland, then I think a year later, 2001, joins the band, Tom Adams. And the skill level became very, very high. And in order to maintain that, there is a constant a consciousness to say, if I'm going to hire somebody, number one, they have to fit this style. They can't be a contemporary musician. This has to be, that's why replacing Mike Cleveland was Hunter Berry. Hunter played with such grit and just such drive. It's like, even though he was very young, I think he was 17, 18 when he joined the band. It's like, I could see that in him. Yeah,
that teenage angst and anxiety goes a long way. Yeah, there is something to that. But I just thought of something, because how old were you when like this identity of the Queen happened in was the Washington Journal? Is that what it was?
The Wall Street Journal. Wall
Street Journal.
Yes.
Yeah. So how old were you?
Born in 1962. So how old would I have been?
I don't know. What year was it then? I guess I don't know.
Oh, that was 2000. 2000.
Oh, it was in 2000. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to do our math.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. But the thing, I know better. I'm from the South. I know better.
Stop. Don't say it.
I know.
I really... When Paul Harvey announced my 40th birthday, I said, okay,
everybody knows.
I'm on Paul Harvey. And he said, Rhonda Vincent turns 40 today. It's like, okay, thanks, Paul.
That's incredible. Is there a pressure like for the Queen, like the Queen of a genre? Like to me, that says at least so much of my imagination. I can't imagine anybody calling me a queen of any genre, but for my imagination to be like this thing, like to carry on a tradition, to push it forward, like to me that adds some kind of pressure. But I guess at this point, I mean, like you're fully known in your identity, you know who you are, and this is what you've been doing. And I can see where it's just a label, but is there a pressure to that?
The pressure comes when creating the music, which is what I've just been pouring over for 2 years because of the quarantine and everything. It has given me the luxury or not luxury or whatever to make this, like my husband's like, let it go. He said, you're just going to mix this to death, or you're going to, I said, no, this bugs me. When I hear this, I want to fix this. And so in creating the music, there is a great pressure and a great anxiety. Every project, this next project has to be as good or better. I don't want someone saying, oh, she must have just put that together just to put a project together. I can hear that in the music or in the musicianship or whatever. When you listen to that project, I want you to go, and this new project that I'm making that's should be finished today, actually. When I get done with this day, they should have all the mixing done. But it feels very special. There's a specialness in the songs, in how it all intertwines together. And even in the sequencing, this is almost a singles type, the formats or the playlists are not, they're more single driven. This album seems to have, there's something that just melds it together. I was even thinking, should I just sell it as an album? That's probably not a good thing to do, but
I love albums. I'm a millennial dad, and I just love albums when they're just concise and there's a story to it. Maybe it's not intentional, but you can at least find the threads that kind of go through. I love albums personally. Oh,
good. Well, I feel like this is a special project. It's been many years since I've done a studio project. I've done all these live. We won the Grammy for All the Rage Volume 1. That was a live album. We just went and did a live show. Everybody's featured. It wins. They said that's very unusual that an album like that would win a Grammy. It's like, because it's a live album, but because once again, the skill level, everybody in the band contributed to that. So it was a complete group effort. But so is this album. My band is on here, almost all of every song. The songs came together. It was a special time. There was an enthusiasm. In fact, when we finished, the day we finished, we tracked for 2 days in May of 2020. Had not played I hadn't seen the guys in several months. We got together and Hunter said afterwards, he said, I thought this was the worst idea that you have ever had, coming into the studio to record when we haven't even been playing. But instead, everybody was so rejuvenated and so excited to be there. And we put all of our effort in this. And it's like, he said, this is amazing. So
that's cool.
It was just everything was at the right time.
That's the story of your life. It's the right time.
It really is the timing. It's the timing. And I think back, it's like, had this happened years earlier, I probably wouldn't have been prepared for it. Everything has came in its own season. The Opry membership, everything happens at the right time.
Yeah, I was so proud of you. Yeah, I was so proud of you joining the Opry. Yeah, I mean, it's well deserved. I can't say that a lot about people, and that's a personal thing. But when I read that in the news, I thought, oh, she deserves that. She should be there.
Oh, thank you. It was like people came together. They had it was their same goal. It's like, I have been wishing for this for so long for you. It's like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, timing. It can be so cruel sometimes, the wait.
Yes.
But sometimes most times, I guess it's so perfect. So I got to ask this. I always ask everybody this that has one. Where's your Grammy? What do you do with it?
Oh, it's when you walk in the house. In fact, somebody said you shouldn't do that. If somebody walks in here, they could take it. But when you walk in my Nashville house, there is a very special piece of furniture. It's got little gold the handles on it. That accent the Grammy and the Opry statue. It now stands near it. They stand together.
It's on display. I was hoping it was like a paperweight or a door stopper.
Stuart Duncan told me his Grammys were in the trunk of his car. It's like, what are you doing? No way.
I talked to an artist yesterday that has a Grammy, and she said, I don't even know where it's at.
Oh, I know where it's at. And it was the 60th anniversary of the Grammys in 2017. Right. In addition to the Grammy, we received a commemorative watch that has been specially, like the hands are tuning forks, and the back of the watch has got waveforms, and it's a drum head for the watch. It is unbelievable with a very it's all got an inscription with my name on the back and a very special authentication card that comes with it. So I got to figure out where that's going to go.
That's amazing. When I went to the Grammys, it was just a bag full of lotions, and I didn't know what to do with that. Like, what do you do with that? And I think there was like a sleep visor in it, because it's always the bags, right? Like, the bags are out, and they give you the bags, and it's like, I mean, being here was cool, but I don't need this. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
It's Grammy lotion. It's important.
Purell does the same. It's okay. It's okay. I remember specifically your duet record with Daryl Singletary. And I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up with 90s country, and Daryl's just one of those voices in my imagination that always sticks out. And when you guys released that record, which I think maybe 2018, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good to hear his voice. And do you have any highlight moments from that? Because I'm just a huge fan of Daryl, and I'll never get to talk to him. So
I loved singing with him. He was like this. It was like that magic getting to sing with him. So, yeah, it was definitely 2017. He passed February of 2018, and it was, what a wonderful experience getting to work with him. And interesting enough, like we would be working on the songs. And you go, man, he said, I got to go put on my ham. And then, or I got to go pick up my kids. And just such a tenderhearted man, with this incredible voice. I loved working with him, but getting to know him personally, because if I hadn't done this project, I just saw him at shows, it was a very unique experience. I called him one morning, we were supposed to record. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm sitting in my truck crying. He said, I dropped my boys off at school, and they said, Daddy, we want to go with you. We don't want to go to school. We want to go with you. And he said, I had to make my boys, I had to make them go in there. He said, I'm just sitting here crying. So authentic. What man tells you I'm sitting here crying because my little boys, they're going to kindergarten, and I had to make them go in there.
Yeah, I cry at Pixar movies. So, I mean,
you totally get it.
I do get it. I do. Yeah, he's one of those voices that will always stick out in my imagination of, especially my childhood, and that's a personal thing.
Yeah, he had a voice like no other.
Yeah, man, you got some stuff cooking. You're festivaling. I love that.
I know.
It's such a rare thing. I don't get to hear that too many times these days, that you're touring and you get to do the thing. It's outdoors, so everybody seems to be healthy. It's Florida. Florida man might be there, so we'll see what happens. You might make the news for something, you might not.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, if we get to July and everything holds, we'll have a normal touring year by July.
So you think so?
Yeah, if you go to RhondaVincent.com and see the list of dates, starting in July, clear through 2022, we're back up and running. Like I say, if they hold, we don't want any more dates to cancel. Yesterday, her booked, I don't know how many dates yesterday. So calls are coming in, the bookings are coming in. So I think it's looking good. I hear from so many people it's like, hey, I just got the vaccine. I got 2 more weeks. Where are you playing? Because I'm coming. We're going somewhere. We've got the vaccine, and we're going to be good to go. So that's very encouraging.
Yeah, that's good, because to me, you're almost like, I feel like Sam Bush is kind of like this too, and there's a bunch of others. They're kind of like the Bob Dylans of, like, they just never stop touring, and so it's like, it's the thing of like your life's immediately on halt for a thing that's just in the atmosphere, and then government regulations, stipulations, masking, political left to rights, whatever, just so many counterintuitive things to actually for you getting out on the road.
I just want to sing.
How hard is that? Like, why? Can we get back to normalcy somewhere, somehow? Yeah. So, but we're getting there, I guess. It sounds like.
Yeah, it feels like it.
That's good. And you got a record coming out too. What's it called? I don't know any of this.
Well, I did not have the title 100%, but I think it's going to be called "Music Is What I See," because there's a song on the album titled that. I almost have the music done, and I'm having such a hard time selecting the cover, selecting the title. That just seems to be, I'm almost thinking I should do some sort of a contest or something and put all of my cover ideas up and let people pick. Would that be bad to do?
I don't think so. Get your audience involved, but I'll just go ahead and say I'm always up for exposure. So, if you just need
something like this with a dad COVID body on your
Yes.
cover, I can push some records for you.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. People know
Awesome.
me. All
right.
tens of them. All 10 people.
Okay.
It'll sell just because of the record itself.
All right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to throw out there?
Just join me at rhondavincent.com. Watch out for the scammers on all of the social media. Make sure you always go to rhondavincent.com.
You got scammers?
I do. People are posing as me with my pictures, texting people, all this, sending them private messages and telling them they're me, thinking they're having a relationship with me.
Right.
One guy, I got a call from the FBI. Was that 2 years ago? Because one of the gentlemen sent $500,000 in gift cards and cell phones, his entire life savings. So it has become my crusade to tell you, do not send anything like that. Don't give them your bank account. Don't send them gift cards. Don't send anything like that. And just go to rhondavincent.com. There's a message board. You can send me a message. I'm not going to ask you for any of that stuff. So beware of that. And then after I got questioned by the FBI because of this, a gentleman, we got a wife called on a Monday after our show. And she said her husband came to my show thinking that we were having a relationship. He left her on Thursday because they said my divorce was final. And he came to the show to take me home with him. And he had sent money for the divorce and everything. So please don't believe any of that stuff. Beware, beware, beware. RhondaVincent.com is all I can tell you. Go to the message board and don't buy into any of that.
I mean, my first gut reaction is, oh, Rhonda, you made it. Yeah, you got lookalikes. That's good. But it's much deeper and scarier. And
oh no, they're taking
gosh.
my photos and my videos and making it look like it's them.
But there's only one
it's
and
me.
only. Yeah, right. Oh, wow.
So
That's
be
incredible.
careful.
Yeah. All right. Well, I expect some of my money back then at some point. Some point. I love this. I think you're amazing. I don't know. I just hope nothing but success for the record, tour life. It was so nice to get to know you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It was my pleasure and honor to entertain and to host the Queen of Bluegrass, Miss Rhonda Vincent. Music is What I See. It is coming May 28th. You can pre-order, you can pre-save it right now. But when it's out, you go listen, you go stream it. God forbid, you go buy it. You could do that too. That's a unique opposition of the brain that you might not ever think of, but you can go buy it and purchase the thing. You can go to her website, rhondavincent.com, to check out and buy the music. You heard her, scammers, they're everywhere. They do the thing. You can check out tour dates. She's got plenty of tour dates up in the space, up in the airwaves. It's all over the place. Congrats, Grand Ole Opry. I mean, it was just a legend. It was a great conversation. Go give her a follow. Thank her for her time having a conversation with me at Rhonda Vincent on her social platforms. She'll appreciate it. And then as for me, while you're on that social train, give me a follow at Unofficial Brandon on Instagram, TikTok, at SMI Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, smipodcast.com if you want to drop us a line or check out additional content or links or other music or whatever we have posted up there. It's a place, smipodcast.com. If you got something out of this episode, all I ever ask is that you just share it with the friends. Share it on the social internets. Just let know people that, this thing exists. It touched you in some unique way. Maybe it'll touch somebody in an appropriate way. All right? All right, as far as for me, my good people, you know how it goes. Happy surviving out there. I'll see you next time.